King Richard I, Richard Coeur de Lion, came to the throne in 1189, and very soon left his throne empty when he set off on the crusade to free Jerusalem from the Saracens. He was summoned home by the news of trouble and rebellion, but was captured on the way and shut up in a prison, no one knew where, and in England, few believed that he would ever return. So begins Chapter 1 of Roger Lancellyn Green's Robin Hood. It sounds like this is going to be scripted. It's not. This is about as far as I got in my brain. Hi, I'm Darkovika, and I'm obsessed with Robin Hood. I decided, screw it, and I'm going to just do videos on things that I really like, and that just so happens to be Robin Hood, basically. Sorry if I look a bit like a mess. First of all, it's cold, so I'm wearing just the loveliest large plaid blanket. Plaid? It's like really big plaid. It's like really big plaid squares. I'm gonna say it's plaid. And also it was raining, so I look like a mess, and that's life. Anyways, this is what I'm starting with on my video obsession with Robin Hood. This is the first book that I read that ever had anything to do with Robin Hood, really. And it was also the book that made me realize, oh my God, I really like Robin Hood. I remember I was lying on the floor. Brent was sitting on a couch. This was very early in our relationship. He was programming. I was reading Robin Hood. Accurate. We're still basically that. And I remember we went to Barnes & Noble, because what date isn't complete without a trip to Barnes & Noble, at least if you're me. And I got this book because it looked really cool. Like, okay, let's YouTuber this right now. This is the book. Look at that. Isn't it just, it's lovely. This is the inside cover. Can't tell you how this has inspired me quite a bit. And there's all sorts of stuff in here. There's this back part that has questions, some things to think about. Maybe I'll I didn't actually think very far on what I wanted to do for this video, except talk about this book specifically. And it has this section in the back that goes over the characters, and I don't know why I'm holding this really far away. I can't actually see what this is. Some things to do, some things to think about. It has it's like if you made a Robin Hood game, what would it look like? And I was like, don't inspire me like this. I can't exactly say what one specific thing about this that I loved so much that made me just okay, well, apparently my life now revolves around Robin Hood and Kingdom Hearts. That's it. Those are my two lifelong obsessions. We're done. Everybody pack up, go home. But I can say one of the things that I really loved about this was just the way Robin is depicted. He is a goofball. He really is. He is a total mess of a human being. Maybe that's why I identify with him so much. Even Marion is kind of a goofball. She's a very classy, genteel goofball, but she kind of is a goofball. I also just love the way that this portrayed Marion. It portrayed religion really interesting. Kind of briefly, it's mentioned. It's not it's not like a driving force in the book. Every now and then you're reminded that Robin is Christian. But also, I think I love the way that the characters all come together, because they're very interesting characters. Everyone kind of has, okay, hang on. Let's roll back a bit. What is this? There are a lot of collections of Robin Hood stories. Basically, what you've got is people who take the original stories, the Jest of Robin Hood, which is original. Okay, let's roll back even further. Robin is majority, he was told by word of mouth. He was a story that was not really written. It was sung by bards. It was performed. It was told. The first time that there is a written story collection of him, at least as far as I have learned, this may be incorrect, feel free to correct me, is the Jest of Robin Hood, which is not the oldest mention that we have of him. So we know that this written collection of stories of Robin Hood is not the first. So clearly he was told orally for a very long time, and eventually was written down. Now, what I love about Robin Hood is that, at least there are so many different versions of Robin Hood. It just depends on what you read, because there are some versions of Robin Hood like this one that take place around the time of the Magna Carta, where King Richard was literally spirited away. Like what I read in here, he was kidnapped, he was held prisoner for ransom, except Prince John never intended to pay that ransom. He fully intended to just become king, except Prince John's mom was like, no, and literally launched a campaign to free her son and pay the ransom. And because, look, Queen, I just forgot her name. The Dowager Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine is just like, she is a person, okay? She is an individual that is just amazing to read about. She's so cool, but like, that's history, right? So that's a popular setting for Robin Hood, because during that time there was a whole lot of unrest because Prince John kind of sucked. Now historians have kind of sat back and gone, well, wait, okay, we're very like, we're big fans of King Richard, but why? He was also kind of a jerk. For starters, mainly the reason why people liked King Richard, I wasn't going to go into history, and now here I am. Mainly the reason why people liked King Richard was that he was what people thought a king is supposed to be, which is warring, getting land, trying to take back the Holy Land. Like, King Richard was very just like, I am a warrior king. This is my life. This is what I want. I'm not even really English. Like, I was born in France. I don't even really speak English. Like, he was known as, if I remember correctly, he was known as the taciturn king, I think. Something along those lines, because he rarely spoke. He was literally like one-word answers, and some people believe it's because he didn't really speak English. He literally spoke French. And he spent, I think they've calculated, 6 months in England in his entire life and reign as king. Maybe just the reign. I think it was just the reign. Because I think he was born in Aquitaine, or he at least lived in Aquitaine. He was, we can surmise, Eleanor's favorite. Because she goes to the ends of the earth for him. Also, she literally just hated her husband. Her husband stopped a war for the crown by imprisoning her, and King Richard was like, Prince Richard at the time was like, okay, hang on. Mom's in prison. We can't do this anymore. So there's some stories there. That's basically where this takes place. Although, okay, what I was getting at was that Prince John, some people say he was just dealt a very bad hand. Why? Because King Richard literally depleted the country's money to go on his big fancy wars and to go to Jerusalem and try to take back the holy city. Some people believe that Prince John is unfairly remembered because he was literally just dealt the worst hand. Although he was kind of a jerk too. Like, he was like, okay, we're broke. I'm just going to take money, and that's really not a good way to do it. So he wasn't really smart. So he may have been dealt a bad hand, but he also handled that hand wrong. Who's to say? Everybody was kind of a jerk. That is where a lot of, at least for me, my favorite Robin Hood stories take place in that period. There are later periods where Robin Hood takes place. It might be interesting, actually, to see a steampunk Robin Hood. Oh, shoot. Now I want to write that. As if I need more ideas. Okay, we're going to put a little sticky note on that. And it's just, he's like this character that is easily stuck anywhere in history where there's problems. Like, we could literally find a place for him right now. Because Robin represents, like, the people fighting against something that is wrong, that is hurting the people. And there's actually some debate on whether or not Robin Hood is a story for the people, or if he was a story for the genteel, the wealthy, the aristocracy, technically, because of the way that he's structured and written. Some folks think that maybe he was not even a story for the people. He was actually for the wealthy, so that they could feel like, see, even we could be good people. We could take care of our people by being Robin Hood, because he was a wealthy yeoman. That's usually what he is a wealthy yeoman. That's what he is in this one. And in this one, I mean, like, I love the way that they portray Maid Marian. Just, mwah, chef kisses, mwah, I love her. She's amazing. She is, like, my second favorite character, which is saying something for old classical literature, because usually the women are just like, I exist to be married and to be a beautiful woman that the hero fights for. That's not Maid Marian in this. Oh, I was explaining what this is. Okay, rolling back to a previous thing. So like all Robin Hood collections, this is based off of many other collections. Roger Lancellyn Green effectively took his favorite stories of Robin Hood and just put them all into one book. And these are stories from other authors, from ballads, from plays. He literally was just like, I like this one, and I like this one, and I like this one, and we're gonna just put it all in and make it one big story and have it all make sense. And that's awesome. I ship it. And you can kind of see it sometimes, like there are some Robin Hood stories where there isn't a Marian, but there is a woman named Clorinda, and she's like a shepherdess. And in his story, he decided to keep the name Clorinda, but he made it that it was like Marian's like secret name. Like if she was among the people, they would call her the shepherdess Clorinda. It was still Marian, which is an interesting decision. I would have just taken that out and just made her Marian, but you know, do what you will. I still love it. Marian is a total kick. Pardon my French, but she's a total kick-ass. She, like, is this spirited woman. She's, like super... Oh, I think she's a Saxon in this. Yeah? This is important. I still don't totally understand the whole beef between the Saxons and the... I'm forgetting all of my words tonight. It starts with an N. It's this big, brutal, like, battle thing that was literally the Battle of Hastings. It's, like, a major part of history. Okay, well, you know, it's not in my brain anymore right now. I just got home from work, so you'll have to forgive me. But anyways, she's, like, this hot-blooded, powerful, I don't want to wear dresses, I don't want to knit, I want to go bash some heads. Okay, not really. She's still, like, a very beautiful, like, somewhat vain classical female character, but she's also like, I climb trees and I sometimes dress up as a boy and go beat people up, but they deserved it. That's important. And like there's a point in the story where her father, who is he believes the stories about Robin and just thinks, he's turned into a thief. No way am I going to have my daughter marry that. Absolutely not, Marian. Sit down and be a good daughter. And then she would be like, but father, I don't want to. And he'd be like, I love you too much to actually force you to do anything. It's like a thing. And like Sir Guy of Gisborne is like, oh yes, I love Marian. I shall break her and make her mine. Ho ho ho, twirl my mustache. And that's Sir Guy of Gisborne. Literally, he's like, because you know Marian's father meets Sir Guy, and he's like, oh wow, this dude is just like the coolest. Like if Marian would marry him, I would be okay with this. And Marian's like, no. I am the soulmate of Robin of Locksley. Screw you. And Dad's like, I'm your father. And again, you know, we point A. And Guy was like, well, I think there's a line where he's like, I will break her and make her a classical wife. And Marian's like, and I'm like, and obviously this is supposed to be a bad thing. So we're good with that. And so eventually Marian was like, okay, well, clearly this isn't working out for me. Robin's in the forest doing good. I'm stuck here with my father locking me in a tower because I refuse to marry Sir Guy of Gisborne. I'm gonna sneak out. And she does. And she dresses up as a man and she's like, time to go find Robin and join the good fight. That's literally what she wants to do. And she's walking along and comes across this only other person on the road who's got a hood on. And she's just like, hello, good sir. But also doesn't really, no, I'm sorry. The other person says hello to her, and that person is like, hello on this good morning, and she just doesn't talk to him. She doesn't look at him, and this person is insulted by this random man's gall, just the gall of this man, disguised Marian. And he's like, sir, I have said good morning to you. And she's basically like, go away. And he's like, your rudeness, you will answer for it. And she's like, huzzah, I will kick your butt. And they fight brutally for like, I think it said like a half hour or something, just like barely touching each other, just head to head, perfectly skilled, the two of them, a perfect match. And finally, this man who was walking along cracks our good Marion on the head with his stick, and she falls to the floor and is just like, oh wow, what the hell. And this man is like, that is the most amazing fight I've ever had, and throws off his disguise, and it turns out it's Robin Hood. And he's like, I must have you join my band of merry men. And poor Marion on the floor goes, Robin, and throws off her disguise and goes, it's me. And Robin goes, I hit my love, and just freaks out. It's hysterical. I love it. Amazing romance. 10 out of 10. I ship it. It's so good. I laughed and I cried. It's so good. And at first you're like, oh, this reads like a semi-classic novel. Like, it's not modern, but it's not old enough to be unreadable. You know what I'm talking about. It's not as like, the language is not the same as Dracula, but it's also not a modern book. So it's a little dry sometimes, and then you're just like, it's been 3 hours and you've read it in one sitting. I don't know. That was me. I was like, oh, this is kind of an interesting story. I could see myself liking this. And then I closed it and was like, Brent, I finished it in one sitting. And he was like, what? Also, it should be mentioned that Robin Hood is a tragedy. I hope that wasn't a spoiler. He is classically a tragedy. He always is and has been. It's just, that's Robin Hood, except for obviously like modern retellings of him where he's not dead, like Disney. And this particular collection hits me better than Howard Pyle. I know Howard Pyle is considered like the author for like Robin Hood and King Arthur. I prefer Roger Lancellyn Green. And Green actually did write Kingdom Hearts. Oh my God. King Arthur. I say King and it just it's like an autofill. It auto corrects to Kingdom Hearts. He did write a King Arthur collection that I own but have not read. Also, I have this great book that I didn't bring in here called The Once and Future King, which I desperately need to read because I found out that it's like literally the original story of like Sword in the Stone from Disney. They based Sword in the Stone off of this book, Once and Future King, I think. It's been a while since I read that, so, fact check, but I'm 99.9% sure of this. And it has Robin in it. So it's literally King Arthur and he meets Robin Hood. And I am so ready. Also, I own, oh God, this was a lot harder to read. Ivanhoe. Ivanhoe has Robin Hood in it too. But that is a lot older and it's a lot harder to read. Sir Walter Scott, I believe that's the author. I'm not 100% on my facts tonight or even my words. So, but that was a little drier. So I haven't finished that. I've read this at least twice and I want to do an audiobook of it because it really is my favorite. Unfortunately, also, there are a lot of locations in here that are obviously England. And I'm going to mispronounce them. So that's a thing. Like Legh in Cheshire. Lee, leg, left. Who knows? I can obviously look them up, but that's extra work. So yeah, that's it. That's the video. I just wanted to sort of sit and talk about the adventures of Robin Hood, which is what really got me into Robin Hood. And I think the reason that I love him so much is just that all of the characters in it, no one is very serious. Everyone is very flawed. Robin is prone to pride, and whenever his pride overcomes him, he always loses. And it's very, but he's always very good about it. And like Little John, who becomes his right-hand man, his best friend, Little John kicks his ass, okay? Like, just wallops him. And Robin is angry for about 30 seconds and then is just like, okay, I kind of deserved that. Like, I'm a jerk. I'm kind of prideful. You want to join my band? And that's basically it. And they become best friends. So I think I just love the fact that Robin doesn't take himself very seriously. He is a good person. He cares about people. He's always depicted as this person who is just so good at heart. And like, Oh, I forgot to mention, one of the best parts about this is Marion's arc, because she has this moment where so if Robin's nemesis is Prince John, Marion's nemesis is Sir Guy, and she kicks his butt so hard. It's the most satisfying conclusion, even more satisfying than Prince John. I swear to God, she just destroys him. It's so great. It's so satisfying. Mwah, chef kisses. Mwah, just dead. Okay, she didn't kill him, but she did humiliate the shit out of him, because obviously it was Marion who beat him, and he was like, oh no. Yeah, so I am not as big a fan of Howard Pyle's renditions of Robin Hood as I am of Roger Lancellyn Green. I think he really taps on that whole Robin is not a serious hero. He doesn't take himself seriously. He is exceptionally loyal to his country, and also the fact that he just sacrifices everything for what he believes to be right. He has no proof, no knowledge that King Richard will forgive him, will pardon him for his crimes. Because, I mean, Robin does commit crimes, even if they're for the greater good. He does commit crimes, and historically, King Richard is a little odd. Okay, he's really weird. His sense of chivalry only goes so far. So who knows if he will be pardoned. But yeah, everyone is just like, King Richard or nothing. We are a King Richard band of thieves here, okay? Just send Prince John to the trash. No Prince John. Bad. Video. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. I hope you found this fun and enlightening and entertaining. And yeah, I thought I would start with this one because it is literally the start to my love of Robin Hood. It is it's such a fun copy too. Like, look at the back. It's so fun. It's so cute. Like, I don't know. I like fun books. I have multiple copies of Robin Hood. Maybe not the same author, but I do have many copies. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the stack. I have a funny TikTok where I just am like, look at all of my favorite books, and just throw down like 8 copies of Robin Hood. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you had fun. Let me know, would you read Robin Hood by Roger Lancellyn Green? Do you love Robin Hood as much as I do, if not more? Let me know in the comments below. Bye.